The transport ship landed with a heavy thud on the gray surface of Kepler 442b. Captain Sarah Chin stepped out first, breathing in the processed air of the military base. Behind her, 20 human soldiers filed out in neat lines. They carried standard equipment, weapons, and several large metal crates that rattled slightly as they moved. General Thraknor watched from the observation deck. His scales gleamed under the artificial lights, and his tail swished with barely hidden contempt. Around him, officers from a dozen different alien species whispered and pointed at the humans below. "Look how small they are," one of the Chithrax officers clicked through his mandibles. "No exoskeleton, no natural weapons. How did such a weak species even survive?" "Their bite force is pathetic," another added. "My hatchlings have stronger jaws." Thraknor descended to the landing pad, his massive frame towering over Captain Chin. He was twice her height and 3 times her weight. "Welcome to the coalition, humans," he said, his voice dripping with false politeness. "We will begin joint training exercises tomorrow. Try not to slow us down." Sarah smiled calmly. "We'll do our best, General." The human soldiers began unpacking their equipment. Standard rifles, communication devices, armor plating. Nothing impressive to the watching aliens who had plasma weapons and personal shield generators. But then something unexpected emerged from the transport ship. Sergeant Marcus Webb led out a German shepherd on a tactical leash. The dog's ears were alert, and his dark eyes scanned the area with intelligence. Behind him, more soldiers brought out additional dogs. Some were large and muscular, others smaller and lean. All wore specialized harnesses. The alien officers burst into laughter. "Did they bring pets?" one howled. "To a military base?" "Primitive pack animals," Thraknor observed, shaking his massive head. "Humans, what is the purpose of these creatures?" Marcus stepped forward. "Sir, these are K9 units. Working dogs. They're part of our tactical teams." The laughter grew louder. A Dragvani officer slapped his knee. "You brought animals to do a soldier's job? What's next? Will you ask them to operate the weapons?" "They have 4 legs and can't even hold a gun," another alien mocked. "Are these your secret weapons? Do they bark at the enemy until they surrender?" Even some of the more polite species smiled behind their appendages. The idea seemed absurd. In the entire galactic coalition, no species had ever successfully domesticated another creature for military use. Animals were either food, pests, or left alone. The concept of working with another species was foreign to them all. Thraknor walked closer to Rex, the German shepherd at Marcus's side. The dog remained perfectly still, watching the massive alien with calm eyes. "This creature has no armor, no weapons, and weak senses compared to any coalition species. What tactical advantage could it possibly provide?" Marcus kept his voice even. "You'll see during the exercises, General." "Emotional support," one officer whispered loudly. "Humans must need comfort animals because they're too fragile for real combat." "Perhaps they get lonely," another added, causing fresh waves of laughter. Sarah Chin stood quietly through it all. She had expected this reaction. Humanity was new to the galactic stage and they looked weak by conventional standards. No claws, no venom, no thick hide. And bringing dogs seemed to confirm every prejudice the aliens held. But she had seen what these dogs could do. She had watched them work in conditions that broke sophisticated equipment. She knew what 40,000 years of partnership had created. "Set up the kennels near our barracks," she ordered her soldiers. "Get the dogs fed and rested. Tomorrow we show them what teamwork really means." As the humans worked, alien officers continued their jokes and pointed at the dogs. They took pictures to send home, laughing about the strange humans and their primitive pets. Not one of them suspected that these pets would soon save all their lives. The simulation zone stretched across 5 kilometers of rocky terrain. Hidden throughout were enemy combatants, explosive devices, and hostages to rescue. Advanced holographic technology made everything feel real. Pain simulators would register hits and injuries. Thraknor stood in the command center watching multiple screens. "The Chithrax team will go first. Show these humans how real soldiers operate." The insectoid warriors moved with incredible speed. Their natural sensors detected heat signatures through walls. Their exoskeletons shrugged off simulated gunfire. Within 30 minutes, they reached the target building and extracted the hostages. "Excellent time," Thraknor announced proudly. The Chithrax team returned, clicking their mandibles in satisfaction. But the system showed casualties. 3 soldiers had triggered hidden mines. 2 more were hit by concealed snipers. The advanced sensors had missed several threats entirely. "Acceptable losses," Thraknor declared. Combat always has costs. Next went the Dragvani Heavy Assault Team. They smashed through obstacles with brute strength. Their thick scales absorbed damage. They completed the mission even faster than the Chithraks. The casualties, however, were higher. 5 soldiers down. They had charged straight into an ambush their sensors failed to detect. Still good, Thraknor said, though he frowned at the numbers. Speed is worth the risk. Other teams followed. Each performed well by their standards. Each took casualties from threats their technology somehow missed. Finally, it was humanity's turn. Captain Chin addressed her team quietly. Standard sweep protocol. Trust your partners. Marcus Webb knelt beside Rex, unclipping the leash. The German shepherd's ears perked up. Marcus made a simple hand gesture, and Rex moved forward, nose low to the ground. 4 other handlers did the same with their dogs. The animals spread out in a pattern, moving ahead of the human soldiers. In the command center, alien officers leaned forward with curiosity. The mockery had faded slightly, replaced by genuine interest in what would happen. Rex suddenly stopped. His body went rigid, one front paw lifted. Marcus immediately signaled the team to halt. "What is it doing?" an alien officer asked. Marcus approached carefully and examined the ground. He pulled out a detector and swept the area. Right where my dog indicated. He marked it and the team moved around it safely. Coincidence, someone muttered. But it kept happening. Another dog, a Belgian Malinois named Luna, paused at a doorway and growled softly. Her handler checked and found a tripwire the sensors had completely missed. The team disarmed it and proceeded. A Labrador named Duke sat down suddenly and stared at an empty corner. His handler trusted him instantly. They used thermal imaging from a different angle and discovered a camouflaged sniper the advanced sensors had failed to detect. The threat was neutralized without a single shot fired at the human team. The aliens watched in stunned silence. The dogs were finding everything. Every trap. Every hidden enemy. Every danger. But it was more than just detection. The handlers barely spoke to their dogs. A hand gesture here, a whistle there, sometimes just eye contact. The dogs responded instantly, perfectly understanding what their humans needed. Rex led the team to the hostage building through a route that avoided every ambush point. The dogs had mapped a safe path using nothing but their noses and instincts. The humans completed the mission in record time. 0 casualties. Every threat neutralized. Every trap avoided. The command center was dead quiet. Thraknor stared at the screens, his tail completely still. "How?" he whispered. "Our sensors cost millions of credits. They were developed by the finest scientists in the galaxy. How did simple animals outperform them?" Marcus Webb entered the command center with Rex at his side. "Because your sensors look for what they're programmed to find. Rex smells everything. He doesn't need programming. He just knows." An alien scientist spoke up, his voice shaking slightly. "That mine your dog found. Our equipment scanned that area 3 times and registered nothing." Rex didn't need equipment, Marcus said simply, scratching behind his dog's ears. He just needed his nose. Thraknor looked at the dog with new eyes. This was no pet. This was something the galaxy had never seen before. The alarm screamed through the base at 0300 hours. Red lights flashed in every corridor. Soldiers from 20 different species scrambled to their posts. "Void swarm attack," the announcement blared. "All personnel to defensive positions." Thraknor rushed to the command center, his claws scraping against the metal floor. Officers crowded around screens showing the perimeter. Ships were descending through the atmosphere, but something was wrong. "Sir, our sensors show only 3 ships, an officer reported. "But intelligence said the swarm travels in fleets of hundreds." "It's a diversion," Thraknor growled. "Scan for infiltrators. Now." The sensors swept every section of the base. Green lights appeared on every screen. All clear. No foreign life signs detected. But then screams erupted from Section 7. A Chithrax guard was found dead, his throat torn open. Security footage showed nothing. One moment he was alive, the next moment he was on the ground. "They're inside," someone whispered with fear. More reports flooded in. Soldiers dying in seemingly empty corridors. Supplies being sabotaged. Weapon systems failing. The Void Swarm had perfected biocamouflage that fooled every scanner in the Coalition arsenal. Panic spread like fire. If you couldn't see the enemy, how could you fight them? Alien soldiers fired at shadows. They suspected each other. The base descended into chaos. Captain Chin found Thraknor in the command center. The general was slamming his fist against the console. "Our technology is useless. They've adapted to everything we have. General, Sarah said calmly. Deploy the dogs. Thraknor turned to her, his eyes wild with desperation. Your animals? Against an enemy we cannot even detect. Trust me, Sarah said. The swarm adapted to your technology. But they never encountered dogs before. Thraknor had no other options. Do it. Within minutes, handlers released K9 units throughout the base. Rex moved through the corridors with Marcus at his side, the dog's nose working constantly. Other teams spread out, covering different sections. In Corridor 12B, Rex suddenly stopped. His lips pulled back, revealing teeth. A deep growl rumbled in his chest. He was staring at empty air. Contact, Marcus said into his radio, raising his weapon. Rex lunged forward and his jaws clamped onto something invisible. There was a shriek, and suddenly a swarm agent materialized, its camouflage failing. The creature was insectoid and serpent-like, covered in shifting patterns. Marcus fired twice and it collapsed. Throughout the base the same scene repeated. Dogs found what sensors could not. Luna cornered 3 infiltrators in the armory. Duke detected a swarm agent hiding in the ventilation system. Every dog worked with perfect accuracy, their noses cutting through the swarm's advanced camouflage like it didn't exist. The swarm agents had never faced an enemy that hunted by scent. They had no defense against it. In the command center, Thraknor watched the screens in amazement. Red dots appeared on the map as dogs located infiltrator after infiltrator. Within an hour, the base was being systematically cleared. Suddenly, Rex charged into the command center, barking urgently. He leaped at Thraknor, hitting the massive general in the chest with enough force to knock him backward. A blade flashed through the space where Thraknor's neck had been. A swarm assassin materialized, having been standing invisible right behind the general. Rex hit the floor and spun, launching himself at the attacker. His teeth found the creature's arm. Marcus and 3 guards opened fire. The assassin fell dead. Thraknor lay on the floor, breathing heavily. He stared at Rex, who stood over him protectively, still growling at the dead infiltrator. He saved my life, Thraknor whispered. The creature was right behind me. I never knew. Marcus helped the general to his feet. Rex sat calmly now, his tail wagging slightly, waiting for praise from his handler. Good boy, Marcus said softly, stroking Rex's head. Very good boy. By dawn, every swarm infiltrator was captured or killed. The dogs had found 47 agents that the sensors never detected. Not a single dog made a mistake. Not once did they identify a friendly as an enemy. The base was secure and not one alien was laughing anymore. The briefing room was packed. Officers from every species in the coalition wanted answers. Thraknor stood at the front, and for the first time since humans arrived, he looked at them with genuine respect. Sergeant Webb, the general said. Explain to us how this is possible. Your animals saved this base. They detected threats our billion-credit technology could not. We must understand. Marcus stood and Rex sat beside him. It's not magic, sir. It's partnership. Dogs have been working with humans for 40,000 years. A Chithrax officer clicked forward. 40,000? That is longer than our entire recorded history. You have kept these creatures as slaves for that long? No, Marcus said firmly. Not slaves. Partners. Friends. Family. Confused murmurs filled the room. The concept made no sense to them. Sarah Chin activated a holographic display. Images appeared showing ancient humans sitting beside wolves around fires. Then dogs helping humans hunt. Dogs guarding human children. Dogs pulling sleds through snow. War dogs wearing armor in ancient battles. Search and rescue dogs digging through rubble. Service dogs guiding blind people. We evolved together, Sarah explained. Humans gave dogs food and protection. Dogs gave us loyalty and skills we didn't have. Over thousands of years we changed each other. They learned to understand us. We learned to understand them. But they are not intelligent like us, an alien scientist protested. They cannot speak. How do you communicate? Marcus smiled. Watch. He looked at Rex and made a small hand gesture. Rex immediately laid down. Another gesture and Rex rolled over. A whistle and Rex came to his side. A pointed finger and Rex went to that exact spot and sat. Now watch this, Marcus said. He pretended to be sad, slumping his shoulders and looking at the floor. Rex immediately came to him, pressing against his leg and looking up with concerned eyes. Marcus laughed and petted him. Rex's tail wagged happily. He reads your emotions, Thraknor said slowly. Without words. Yes, Marcus confirmed. Dogs can sense when we're happy, sad, scared, or angry. They respond to our body language, our tone of voice, even our smell. When I'm stressed, Rex knows it before I do. When there's danger, I can feel it through his reaction. We're connected. An alien officer spoke up, his voice shaking. No species in the galaxy has achieved this. We have tried to train animals. They obey through fear or hunger. But this is different. Your dog saved General Thraknor not because he was ordered to. He did it because he wanted to. Rex would die for me, Marcus said quietly. And I would die for him. That's the bond we share. Sarah displayed more footage. Dogs playing with human children. Dogs comforting soldiers with trauma. Old dogs lying peacefully beside elderly humans. Puppies being trained with patience and love. You breed them to be loyal? Someone asked. We breed them to be healthy and good at their jobs, Sarah said. But loyalty? That cannot be bred. That must be earned. Every handler here has spent years building trust with their dog. It takes time, patience, and love. The room fell silent. Alien officers looked at each other, understanding finally dawning. Humans had not brought a weapon to the coalition. They had brought a relationship. Something no other species had ever created. Thraknor stood and walked to Marcus. The massive general lowered himself down until he was eye level with Rex. The dog watched him calmly, no fear in his eyes. I called you a pet, Thraknor said softly. I mocked you as a primitive animal. I was wrong. You are a warrior. You saved my life. He looked at Marcus. How does one thank a dog? Marcus smiled. Like this. He pulled a treat from his pocket and offered it to Thraknor. Give him this and say good boy. Thraknor took the treat carefully in his massive claws. He held it out to Rex. Good boy, he said, his voice gentle. Rex took the treat politely and wagged his tail. Thraknor stood and addressed the room. The Coalition Council will hear my formal request tomorrow. I am recommending that human K9 units be integrated into all our military operations. What we witnessed was not luck. It was the result of a partnership we cannot replicate, but we can certainly benefit from. 6 months passed. The Coalition fleet assembled in orbit above a barren moon. 50 warships from 20 different species prepared for the largest offensive against the Void Swarm in galactic history. Intelligence reported a massive swarm base hidden beneath the surface. General Thraknor commanded the operation from the flagship. But now, standing beside him on the bridge, was Captain Sarah Chin. And at her feet sat Rex, wearing a special vacuum-rated harness designed by Coalition engineers specifically for dogs. K9 teams report ready across all landing craft, an officer announced. Thraknor nodded. Begin the assault. The ships descended. What had once been a joke was now standard procedure. Every landing team included at least one dog and handler. Alien soldiers who had mocked the animals 6 months ago now refused to deploy without them. The first wave hit the surface. Immediately, dogs began working. They detected hidden entrance tunnels that sensors missed. They identified swarm scouts using camouflage. They found traps laid in the approach routes. A Dragvani squad leader radioed back to command. K9 unit just saved my entire team. There was a cave-in trap we would have walked right into. The dogs smelled the structural weakness. Another report came in. Infiltrators detected and neutralized before they could ambush us. The dogs caught their scent 300 meters away. The operation proceeded with precision. Dogs led teams through the maze of tunnels beneath the surface. They detected ambushes, located hidden weapon caches, and even found imprisoned Coalition soldiers the swarm had captured months earlier. Luna, the Belgian Malinois, discovered the main command center by following the concentration of swarm pheromones through solid rock. Her handler's team breached the chamber and captured the swarm leadership intact. By the end of the day, the operation was complete. The swarm base was destroyed. Coalition casualties were the lowest ever recorded in a major offensive. Thraknor addressed the entire fleet. Today's victory belongs to all of us. But I must acknowledge that without our human K9 units, many of you would not be alive to hear this. The dogs proved once again that sometimes the oldest tools are the best tools. The communication channels filled with howls, clicks, and calls of agreement from dozens of species. Back at the main Coalition base, something remarkable was happening. A training facility had been built. Inside, alien recruits were learning to work with dogs. Not all species could form the deep bond that humans had, but many discovered they could still work together effectively. A young Chithrax officer nervously approached a golden retriever. The dog wagged its tail and licked the officer's clawed hand. The alien made a chirping sound that might have been laughter. They are patient with us, the Chithrax said to the human instructor. Even though we cannot speak the same language. That's the point, the instructor replied. Language isn't necessary when you have trust. In the briefing room, Sarah Chin stood before a holographic display showing deployment statistics. Alien commanders from across the galaxy were attending remotely, all requesting K9 units for their operations. Thraknor entered and stood beside her. We nearly made a terrible mistake, he said quietly. We judged you by your physical weakness and overlooked your true strength. Sarah smiled. What strength is that? The ability to build bridges, Thraknor said. Every species in the galaxy stands alone. We use tools, we command machines, we exploit resources. But humans? You make friends. You form partnerships. You took wolves and turned them into loyal companions over thousands of years. That is not weakness. That is a gift the rest of us lack. Through the window they could see Marcus playing with Rex in the training yard. Other handlers were there with their dogs. Several alien soldiers watched, some trying to mimic the hand signals. We didn't bring our greatest weapon to the stars, Sarah said softly. We brought our oldest friends. And they showed the galaxy that strength isn't just about firepower or technology. Sometimes it's about loyalty, trust, and the bonds we choose to build. Rex barked happily in the distance, chasing a thrown ball. Marcus laughed and caught him in a hug when he returned. The galaxy had learned its lesson. And it would never underestimate humans or their dogs again.